Lights. So, you want to work in media, maybe you're fancy yourself as a director, maybe you want a production company, maybe there's lots of different things, but you know TV, film, video, YouTube, whatever, that's where you want to be. Over the next series of videos here, I'm going to go through all the different steps that I would advise. There are many different ways of doing it, but in order to do that, I should really give you a bit of a start point of where I've come from and how I've done it. Well, first of all, I didn't go to college, university, film school. I did go to college and whatever, but step one, if you are interested in this world, it's not a real job. Maybe it can be a career for you. It's pretty tricky to get started, but there are some accepted ways. A lot of people will go and study drama and media studies at school, then go on to college and do a similar thing. Maybe you go and do a visual communications degree or some such. That may help you very well, but in all honesty, it's down to you, not the stuff that you're being taught in education. Sure, that stuff's helpful. That may give you an edge over somebody else, but as you're starting out, where do you go? What do you do? And what am I as an employer looking for? I receive many CVs and job applications on a weekly basis. Yeah, people have pretty show reels, people talk about themselves in formal manner, people will talk about themselves in a gnarly cool dude surfer kind of way, and everything in between. That stuff is, once you've read 4 or 5 CVs, that's kind of all the same. What I'm looking for, and what many of the employers that I've been speaking to recently have been looking for, is what you've done about it in your own time. What steps have you taken by yourself to advance your own career? After all, working in media is not really a proper job. It's pretty cushy at the best of times, but it's a lot of hard work, and it's not for everybody. A lot of people come in and don't realise what it's about. Anyway, I digress. But what have you done to further yourself? Are you on YouTube? Do you make videos of your cats? Do you do anything at all to advance where you want to be? And do you have any evidence of it? There's a great talk, if you haven't seen it before, watch the rest of this and then go off and watch it. I'll put a link below, of Aaron Draplin's Creative Mornings in Portland. The video is maybe 7 or 8 years old now. And one of the things he talks about in there is the evidence that you've got that you can do a particular job. Now, I'm talking about this as if you're applying for a job at a TV station, a production company. You may have a slightly different route that you want to take into it. Maybe you are going to start off, or you see your path as a runner, then a production assistant, so on and so forth. Maybe you want to do, well, as I did, and go straight out on your own. But the same rules apply, because this time, if you're applying for a job, you need to convince the employer, or me, or somebody like that you're worth it. It's much more difficult if you go out on your own, because you need to convince a client. They're physically parting with their own cash for something that, generally speaking, they're going to be pretty precious about, because they're wanting to create something that maybe represents their brand. So the same rules apply, and I'm always looking for that. What steps have been taken? Sure, the standard show reels thing, that's okay. But generally speaking, if you're, let's say, 18 years old, the show reel that you present, it'll be pretty obvious to somebody like myself what bits you've done on it and whether you can really take all the credit for what's seen. For example, many of the things shown are often university or college projects. Well, we know you didn't do everything on that. Nobody does. I don't do most of the stuff on the videos that I produce today. However, you need to be honest about that. The other thing is that everybody, or many people, the overwhelming amount of people who come out of university or college wanting to be directors or producers. In order to do that, well, it's a whole nother video, but you need to hone many other crafts before you can get there. You can't really understand being a great director until you understand what the editor is going to be doing at the other end and how he's going to interpret what you've directed and how to direct him further. Similarly, your producer's role, you need to have a pretty good understanding of most areas of the business. You may not need to do a 3-point edit, but you'll need to know the person who can and what you're looking for in that person. Your first step onto the ladder might be here on YouTube. There are many advantages of publishing videos on YouTube, no matter, even if the quality is fairly poor. It shows a number of things. It shows commitment, that you've stuck to something for a while. It shows an ethic that whilst you could have been out drinking, driving, whatever you want to do, you were out producing videos. That's kind of how I got into it. Now, a few of you will ask or think, do you need to go to university or college or film school? Well, I didn't. And I believe, but I could be wrong, the guys over at No Film School, I don't think they did either. Hence their No Film School name. But that's not to say you don't learn. I buried my head in books and even watching a lot of YouTube videos and understanding what was happening. For me, there were a number of key changes that meant I could readily jump on board and learn along with professionals at the same time. One was when DV, digital video, came about.
Hello! Hello!
It was a big departure from what the industry had been used to. Things became a lot more affordable, and nobody knew more about it than anybody else at the time. So if you just jumped on that, got stuck into the manuals and reading things, you could really be on par. Since then, there's been a number of other things, and the last sort of big one for me was the original Red digital cinema camera promise, the 4K for 4K, and they released masses of information about that before it was released, mainly to sort of counter a lot of the negativity they were receiving on forums. However, for me, that taught me how modern sensors, well, CMOS sensors were working, exactly what was happening there. And when that camera was released, I was pretty well ready to go out and use it straight away. Since then, there's been cell phone technology, there's been loads of other innovations and much easier ways of working. So make it your business to go out and learn that stuff. You don't have to learn everything, but make an effort to learn some of it. So then once you've got started, you'll want to know how to get clients. There are many ways, and in fact, in the next video, I'll cover how to get clients and, more importantly, how to retain clients. And there's a whole bunch of other things that we'll want to learn along the way. Once you've got a client, how do you get that client to pay? What do you do if they don't pay? How do you know that your work's good enough? How do you do the legals and the paperwork? Because believe it or not, my job today is fairly multifaceted, but most of it is not playing with cameras or producing content. Most of it is paperwork, legals, meetings, insurance. I mean, downstairs right now, we're having a whole room done out. And again, that takes time, it takes money. It's, well, you'll hear about it in future videos. But that's my advice for how you get started, or certainly how you think about getting started. What I, as an employer, look for. And it's worth saying as well that the days aren't gone where you can be single, where you can just be a focus puller. They're still there. However, in order to get to those, you really need to have a big understanding of lots of different areas. Some people will opt for the jack of all trades. Some people will really specialise. But if you do specialise, make sure you cast your net a little broader to at least know the sound guy's name. Thanks for watching that. If there are any questions, I'm happy to do follow-ups on each of these different sections. And if the video has been released for the next chapter, I'll put a link to it somewhere here. If it hasn't, then come back tomorrow and it will be.